Hi everyone, good evening. In this session, we are going to talk about vSphere, few more additional concepts. In our previous session, we talk about the mainly the vSphere vCenter cluster features. All the cluster features we covered, which includes HA, DRS, DPM, and also the storage DRS, fault tolerance. All the features we covered. Now we are going to talk about some additional concepts in vSphere. Let's move on to the next slide. So today's agenda, mainly we are going to discuss these four concepts. So first one is license management, how the license is defined in the vSphere environment. And one of the tab is mainly for task console. We'll talk about what is importance of task console and event console and schedule task. Okay, so this is the four concepts. Let's start with the vSphere license management. So vSphere license management mainly for vSphere provides a centralized license management system that we can use to manage licenses for mainly that these are all the components required a licenses. ESXi host, every ESXi host require one license and vCenter server also require a license. And if we have a multiple vCenter servers in your environment, like India, we have one data center. For India data center, we are using one vCenter. Suppose we have other data centers in Singapore or US or UK, whatever the remote locations our company have, all that organizations individual data centers we may prefer to maintain a multiple vCenters. So licenses also, how many vCenters we have, that many licenses we need to procure. If you have a 4 vCenter, we need to buy a 4 vCenter licenses. And if you want to configure a vSAN cluster also, we require a additional license. And normally storage perspective, some companies they may go for a NAS storage, some company they may go for a fiber channel SAN, iSCSI SAN. We already talk about the multiple storage options. Suppose your company is using vSAN, during that scenario, will buy a vSAN cluster license. Suppose your company is not using vSAN, they are using a virtual volumes. So we no need to buy a additional license. Our existing ESXi and vCenter licenses will support it for a virtual volumes configurations. Okay, so that is the reason they segregated individually. The all the centralizedly we can manage in the vSphere, but each product require a separate license. And the one of the ESXi vCenter, the advanced concept is supervisor cluster. Supervisor cluster we can also call it as vSphere with the Tanzu. vSphere with the Tanzu is mainly for a containerization platform. So the in detail Tanzu concepts I will cover in the following session. So if your company environment is started using the containerization platform, then we need to go for it's a completely a Kubernetes with VMware. VMware Kubernetes product name is Tanzu. Kubernetes basically a open source product. When the other companies they are maintaining with adding a additional support, with the support they maintain they renamed the Kubernetes to every company they have their own containerization platform Kubernetes names. Our VMware containerization platform name is vSphere with Tanzu. When we configure vSphere with Tanzu, we may get the supervisor clusters. This supervisor cluster also require a additional license. And other solutions means VMware also, apart from vSphere, VMware also have some multiple VMware products. Those products also require additional licenses. All those products we call it as a solutions. Solutions are products that integrate with vSphere, such as I given few examples here. VMware Site Recovery Manager. So for data protection, entire your data center site protection, we go for a Site Recovery Manager. Either we can use VMware product or we can use any third-party backup tools. Even in our previous session, we talk about the Veeam backup and replication. That is also one of the product. It will also support for a site recovery manager. And we also have like a Commvault, Veritas Net backup, anything. But it's a completely depends on the customer's choice. Some customers, they choose the VMware product. Some customers, they may use a third party products. Okay, and NSXT is mainly for a network virtualization. Our vSphere is server virtualization product. If you want to implement the virtualization on a network layer, we need to buy a NSXT. NSXT also require a additional license key. Previous version is NSX is NSXV. It's supported only for vSphere environment, but NSXT means transformers. It's supported for any cloud environment. You can run NSXT on a on-premises environment. You can run on a private cloud, hybrid cloud, public cloud, anywhere we can run. Nowadays, the NSXT product also booming. Along with the Tanju product, NSXT also booming. There are plenty of job opportunities and plenty of offers are available for NSXT. In the later sessions, I will cover separately for NSXT and Tanju. Okay, and there are some additional VMware solutions which includes vRealize Operations Manager. In short form, we call it as VROps. VROps also like it's an operations manager. This mainly for a monitoring, dashboarding, and also reporting purpose and capacity management. Let's say in our organization we have a 400 ESX host and 6,000 virtual machine. To monitor all your virtual infrastructure, we need to go for any third-party monitoring tool, or you can use VMware official monitoring tool. That monitoring tool is VROps. This VROps not only for a monitoring purpose, it will also have some additional capabilities. Those capabilities includes capacity management. Capacity management means it will keep on recommend you what is your ESXi host current usage capacity, what is the remaining capacity, and what is your upcoming forecast. Let's say after 6 months, how many ESX hosts are still needed to maintain your virtual machines workload. And also not only in the ESXi host layer, even for virtual machine layer also, we can do a capacity management using vRealize Operations Manager. Virtual machine layer means we can segregate using the reports like overutilized virtual machine report, underutilized virtual machines report. This type of capacity management also we can perform using vRealize Operations Manager. Okay, so this is also the separate product I will cover at the end of the vSphere concepts. Okay, and vRealize login site. The name itself, it says login site. Normally ESXi host and vCenter server, it have a default log retention policy mainly for 180 days. 180 days means it's equivalent to 6 months. Suppose your company standard policy is your company has to maintain some security policy last 3 years data, or last 2 years data, or at least last 1 year data. Even if you want to maintain 1 year data, our ESX and vCenter server cannot maintain last 1 year data. During this scenario, if you want to maintain all your centralized logs, your past data, archival logs data, we have to maintain a separate syslog server. That syslog server name is vRealize login set. To maintain all the log information of ESXi host, vCenter server, virtual machines, whatever other VMware products you are maintaining, all the centralized log system can be supported using vRealize login site. Not only vRealize login site, even we have some other third-party syslog servers. It's subjected to be company's choice. Either they can go for VMware official login site tool, or they may go for a SolarWinds Kiwi syslog server. That is also one of the example for vRealize login site. Same like vRealize login site functionality. Okay, and this whatever the tools we are mentioning here, site recovery, NSXT, and all, always have a customer flexibility. Some customers they stick with VMware product. Some customer they may go for a third party product. It's up to customer's choice. Okay, not only these four products, even whatever we are using some other VMware products, all also consider as a solutions. So whatever other VMware solutions we are going to use in your organization, each and every product we need to buy a separate license. Okay, even ESXi separate license, vCenter appliance separate license. Okay, we'll deep dive into the license management with some additional points in the following slides. Licensing for products in vSphere. So in vSphere, as I mentioned in the first slide, we have a mainly four types license needed. One licensing mainly for ESXi host, and ESXi hosts are licensed with vSphere license. Each vSphere license has a certain capacity that we can use to license multiple physical CPUs on ESXi host. Even while buying the license from the VMware or any authorized dealer, while buying the licenses, it's subjected to be depends on your physical host CPU licenses. Suppose our server is HP DL380, any of the latest generation 9 or generation 10. In that physical box, how many CPUs you have? If you have one CPU, one physical CPU, you need to buy one physical CPU license. If you have two physical CPU, two physical CPU license we need to buy. So that is point they are highlighting here. So depends on your physical CPU, we have to use the specific licensing mechanism. Licenses is like same like our software products like VMware Workstation. While assigning the license, we entered in a license key. Same way, ESXi host also required a license key. Okay, that key we can get it from a either VMware vendor or you can get it from a any of the third party authorized VMware dealer. Sometimes authorized VMware dealers also they will sell the VMware license official license keys. Okay, you can contact any of the sales team, VMware respective sales team. They will give you the all the promotion options and the deals about ESXi vCenter. There same like our how the online products while we are using Amazon or any other online products, they have some promotions, discounts. Same way VMware licensing also they are following some discounts, and yearly there is some changes in the license mechanism. All this information every time it's keep changing. Suppose we are discussing today how the licensing mechanism, maybe this process may change at the year end or the following years. Always contact the respective sales team to know more information on the vSphere licensing, because every time VMware keep changing the all the licensing mechanisms. Okay, and licensing for vCenter server. So vCenter server systems are licensed with vCenter server licenses that have per instance capacity. Per instance means only if you have one vCenter, we need to buy one license. If you have 10 vCenters in your organization, let's say your organization is very large scale industry. For large scale industry, they have a 10 branches. Each country have one branch. All the 10 countries have a one vCenter. So that means we have to buy a 10 vCenter license keys. Okay, normally this procurement process and all taken care by our management team will take care of the license procurement process, or sometimes some of the organization solution architect and the senior project manager will take care of the buying the license portion. As a VMware technical consultant, our responsibility is we have an idea what type of licenses we needed, what are all the license keys we need to enter in a vCenter server level. Okay, and licensing for clusters with vSAN enabled. Even if you have vSAN planning to configure in your organization, it requires a separate license. After we enable vSAN on a cluster, we must assign the cluster an appropriate vSAN license. Default vSAN license is supported for a 60 days evaluation period. Within a 60 days, we have to renew our vSAN licensing. And licensing for vSphere with Tanzu. This is the new Kubernetes concept. Kubernetes basically a open source. If you need a additional support for the open source product, VMware they renamed that native name to the vSphere with Tanzu. Okay, using vSphere with Tanzu also, if you want to use Tanzu Kubernetes platform, we require a additional license key. Once we configure vSphere cluster for vSphere with Tanzu and it becomes a supervisor cluster, we must assign the cluster a Tanzu edition licenses before 60-day evaluation period expires. Okay, default when you start using vSphere with the Tanzu, every time we have a 60-day evaluation period. Within our evaluation period, we have to renew the license key. Okay, now we are going to talk about product licensing metric. Even for each ESXi and vCenter level, while buying the license keys, VMware they are defining some metrics. So we're going to observe what is those metrics. So VMware product licensing metric. So within the product licensing metric, the metrics information is in the second column, and the first column refers as a product names. Let's say I given it 10 products, for example, and vSphere ESXi host. While buying the license, it is depends on a OSI. OSI means operating system interface. Either operating system basis also we can buy license, or processor base. Processor means CPU based license, or sometimes there is a package. PLU means portable licensing unit. Entire package group of products also you can buy. That group of products we call it as a PLU, portable licensing unit. Within one unit you will buy some group of products. Okay, but there is some slightly changes in the group while selecting the group of products. During that time, for doing the licensing cost negotiations and all, always recommendation is contact the VMware sales team. Okay, but as a technical consultant, we should know what is the metrics we are using for while buying the licenses. Okay, for ESXi host, always licensing mechanism is as of today per processor. Maybe in future VMware may change, but as of today until the vSphere 7, VMware given the licensing mechanism to ESXi host is per processor basis. Per processor basis means wherever you are installing ESX operating system on your hardware, HPE hardware, Dell, IBM, Fujitsu, any other hardwares, depends on your hardware model, how many CPUs you have. Based on your CPU count, we need to buy the those many licenses. Okay, and vSphere Robo is nothing but a remote office branch office. Suppose if you are planning to use your ESXi licensing for remote office, it's not for a production site. There is a some slight reduction on the licensing cost, that is based on a per virtual machine license. Okay, normally when you go for a per processor, cost will be a bit high, but when you go for per VM, its license cost is low. But this is recommended only for the remote office and branch offices. And vCenter server, we can also call it as VCSA, vCenter server appliance. For appliance, always the license mechanism is either per VM basis or per appliance basis. So for vCenter server is like a vCenter is a appliance only. So per appliance instance. One instance, we need one license. So multiple instance, we need a multiple instance licenses. And the site recovery manager also one separate appliance. For that is also license is like a per VM basis. Per VM basis means your data center, production data center have a 100 virtual machine. You want a protection, data protection for all your 100 virtual machines. That means we need to buy 100 VMs license. Your data center have 2000 VMs, we need to buy 2000 VMs supported license. Okay, that is an example. And vRealize operations manager. Operation manager also per OS basis. Per OS is also almost similar like a per VM. How many OS instance you are using? Even that OS interface, even if your OS interface have a multiple NIC cards, the license cost may be slightly vary. Not only for one NIC card, operating system interface. If you have a multiple NIC cards, there will be a slight increase on the virtual machine count. Okay, so this is the importance of OSI, operating system interface based license. And vRealize login site also, there is a two options available. Either you can buy for OS based or you can buy on a processor based. And vRealize automation also a per OS interface based. And vRealize suite. This is nothing but a suite is nothing but a group of products. Normally vRealize suite default comes with a 5, 6, 7 products like VROps, VRLI and VRA. These three products always combined with a vRealize suite, and this also per PLU basis. PLU means portable license unit, and virtual SAN per processor for data center. Even each data center based on per processor, we need to buy the additional license along with ESX and vCenter. And NSXT also per processor, two options are available. It's always subjected to be customer's choice. Either they can buy per processor basis or per VM basis. Normally, customer will compare the license cost quotation. If the quotation is reasonable in per processor, they will go for per processor. Sometimes there may be some promotional price per VM basis. So depends on the cost variation. Normally they will go for a if whatever the cost is a reasonable cost, they will choose the appropriate license. Okay, and whatever I mentioned as per processor, I given some example in the below table. Normally number of CPUs for physical servers, one CPU, two CPU, and the cores may be slightly vary, depends on your hardware model. Suppose even in your laptop also we have a one CPU or two CPU, there will be some cores. This core information you will find from a let's say we'll log into our lab system. When you log into the lab system, if you type in the DX diag, you will find how many CPUs we have and how many cores we have. Let's say we have a 8 virtual CPUs, and this is the model of the CPUs is Core i7 model, and the CPU speed is 2.8 gigahertz, and it is a 8 CPUs. And we can also see some information from a performance tab also. Performance tab also, you can see the how many processors and all we can see. So same way, this processor not only 8 CPU, there will be a depends on the cores also will change. That point I highlighted here. So one CPU with multiple cores, maximum if you have 32 cores, only one license is enough. Suppose you have a two CPU and the cores are within the 1 to 32 range, still we need a two licenses because physical CPUs are two. And there are some scenarios, one CPU with a more than 33 cores. If you have more than 33 cores, still VMware recommend to buy a two CPU licenses because your core count is increased. And if you have a two CPU and your core count CPU cores per CPU count is increased more than 33 cores, then we need to buy a four CPU licenses. Okay, this core and CPU information I will explain in detail in the following slide. What is the difference between CPU and core? We have normally dual core, quad core, octa core process. Let's say CPU license, some in detail information. One CPU license covers one CPU with up to 32 cores. Okay, so suppose if you see this diagram, we have a single socket. This gray color icon is showing as a single socket. Within the single socket system, we have a dual core. This is one core, this is one core. So this is called it as dual core single socket. And if you see the another second diagram, we have a quad core. Quad means nothing but a four, four, we can also call it as quad. So quad core means we have four cores, one, two, three, four, and it is in a single socket system. Okay, single socket system means we need only one CPU license. Okay, the cores until 32 cores, we still go for a only one license only. If you have 32 cores also, one license is enough. If your cores count is increased to more than 33, VMware recommend to buy a two CPU licenses. Okay, and in the right side diagram, I given how the processor looks like. It's one of the example processor. Normally server processors are like a Intel Xeon processor. I took the one example of how the processor is looks like. Intel Core i9. i9 is one of the latest processor. And even in your laptops also you can see Intel inside Core i7, Core i5 or i9. So this is the information. And i9 processor, and it have a speed of 3.6 gigahertz, and there is a some cache information. Okay, so how the processors look like. But inside the processor, if you turn this processor, you will find the processor socket and also the core information. Suppose if I turn this processor, the outside layer we call it as a socket, one single socket, and this is nothing but a processor. How many cores we have here is four cores we have, one, two, three, four. So that means it's a quad core processor. How it is looks like in the backside view or a rear view. Okay, and this there is a some orange color lines. These lines we call it as a hardware threads. Okay, so for our technical as a vSphere administrator, this basic knowledge is enough. Normally for the hardware engineers will take care of this. If you have any hardware threads faulty or anything, normally we can raise a request to the hardware vendors, Dell or HP, IBM vendors. They will look at if there are any faulty processor also, we no need to do any in detail trouble. Hardware vendor will help us to do the hardware diagnostics. If the diagnostics clearly says that CPU faulty, they will help us to replace the CPU. But licensing perspective, if you have one CPU with until 32 cores, we need to buy one license. If you have CPU with 33 cores, more than 33 cores means we need to buy a two CPU licenses. That is a key point here. Now we'll talk about a vSphere edition comparison. Normally in the vSphere editions, we have a vSphere, mainly the two common editions most of the time customer uses, vSphere Standard, vSphere Enterprise Plus. So normally Enterprise Plus have all the features, and the Standard have a some limited features. Even cost perspective also, vSphere Standard license cost is less cost, and Enterprise Plus cost is more cost. Okay, suppose your organization is a small scale organization and your requirement is only minimal features, that time you will go for a for a standard license. Your organization is a large scale or medium scale organization. You need to use a some enterprise plus features. Then you can go to buy a enterprise plus features. And this screenshot I captured from the official VMware site. So what is the features is coming from standard? What is the features are available in enterprise? That comparison we're going to observe in the upcoming following slides. Okay, so here VMware vSphere edition comparison. This comparison mainly focusing on the simplified operations. Suppose in the vSphere, the main simplified operations are I highlighted here. So next generation infrastructure image management. Even if you want to upgrade your ESXi host, update or patch anything, if you want to do that, options are available in both editions. So if there is a dot means it's available. If it is empty means it's not available. So these both editions, we have a facility to do update your ESXi host, patch your ESXi host, and also upgrade also our options are available. Normally update, upgrade, patching, this can be done in the two methods. You can done either a manual download the update or upgrade patch from the VMware website and do it manually using command line method. Or if you want to plan to automation method, we have to use a life cycle manager. Okay. And vCenter server profiles. Even you can maintain a different vCenter server profiles. This profile option is help only in a enterprise plus. Okay, it's not available in a standard. And vCenter server update planner. Update planner also, it's okay if you want to upgrade your vCenter from 6 series to 7 series or 7 series to any of the latest version. During that scenario, if you want update planner feature, this feature available only in a enterprise plus. It's not available in a standard feature. And content library. Content also one of the vSphere feature. It maintains all our ESXi host ISO files, appliances, and templates information. This how to configure content library and all I will cover in the next later classes. But the understand that content library is one of the vSphere simplified operation feature. This feature is available in both editions. Okay, and APA for storage awareness. This one discussed during the software defined storage session. API for storage awareness is nothing but a VAS or APS we call it as. This is also available for both editions. And the storage API for array integration multipathing. If you want to do storage array integration and multipathing, this is also available in the both editions. And the distributed switch. So distributed switch we aware this is one of the vCenter feature is available only in a enterprise plus. Suppose if your organization does not have enterprise plus license, we need to switch configuration only. And host to profile and auto deploy, this is also vSphere features. This is available only in a enterprise plus. Normally host to profile is to for a if your organization is planning to build 50 ESX host. 50 ESX host, normally each host will take roughly 1 hour time, and 50 ESX host means we need to spend 50 hours we have to spend to configure the ESX host. But during this scenario, what we can do is when you create a host profile, this host profile will help you to reduce your manual steps. Okay, and auto deploy, the name itself says that automatic deploy. This auto deploy also one of the advanced feature. If you want to deploy your ESXi host installation also, if you want to do automate, that feature is available through vCenter auto deploy. Okay, these two features also we'll discuss in the following sessions, but these two features available only in a vSphere Enterprise Plus. Okay, and volumes. Virtual volumes we discussed during the our storage sessions. This virtual volumes is also available in the both editions, standard and enterprise plus. And there are some additional comparisons. Application performance. Even application performance level, we have a vSphere Bit Fusion. vSphere Bit Fusion is one of the new feature available from vSphere 7 onwards. This is a mainly to delivery of AI and ML. AI is nothing but a artificial intelligence, and ML means machine language infrastructure. There are some applications is supported for a artificial intelligence and machine language. These applications is required using a GPUs. GPU is nothing but a graphical processing unit. Apart from our motherboard normal processor, there is a separate processors are used for a graphical process unit. These GPUs are mainly used for AI, machine learning, and also for gaming purpose also we can use. This GPU, if you have a GPU processor, VMware giving a feature for Bit Fusion. This Bit Fusion is mainly for a Enterprise Plus license only. It's not available in a standard license. And the DRS, we are aware, even to enable a DRS feature also, we require a Enterprise Plus license. Normal standard license, this DRS is not available. And similarly to storage DRS, in our last session, we talk about the storage DRS. This storage DRS is similar automated feature on a ESXi host, and storage DRS is a data store cluster level. So this feature also only available in Enterprise Plus. And power management, distributed power management also available only in Enterprise Plus. And storage policy based management, in short form SPBM, this is also available for assigning the storage policies. This is available for both editions, standard and enterprise. And IO controllers, network and stand storage IO controller. These controllers also available only in Enterprise Plus. And the single root IO, input output virtualization, SRIO support. This is normally for any software defined storages. It requires to use SRIO support. This is also available only in our vSphere Enterprise Plus, not in a standard. And similarly, we'll talk about some other application performance comparison. So vSphere persistent memory. So persistent memory is nothing but a permanent storage memory on our flash drives. This feature also available only in a Enterprise Plus. And vGPU. This graphical processor unit we can also assign for a virtual machines. This feature also available only in Enterprise Plus. And proactive HA. During our HA session, we talk about the proactive HA. Proactive HA is nothing but a receive server health information and migrate virtual machine from degraded host before problem occurs. Okay, that is nothing but a proactive high availability feature. This feature can enable only with Enterprise Plus license. Okay, and accelerated graphics for virtual machines. Even virtual machine speed up the graphics also. It's available in a Enterprise Plus. And the dynamic direct path IO. This is also available in a both editions, but you can use on a standard and Enterprise edition. But if you need GPU, only in Enterprise Plus. Okay. And now some business continuity comparisons. So these are all the vSphere feature. Most of the features we covered, and any remaining features at the later sessions. Okay. So if you see here, all the features we discussed in our previous sessions. So business, these all considered as a business continuity features. So vSphere hypervisor. So hypervisor for product driven performance virtualization layer, ESXi, main ESXi license. It's available for both edition. And vMotion, we know how to migrate virtual machine, live virtual machine from source to destination. This vMotion feature also available in both editions. And hybrid linked mode is nothing but a VMware Cloud on AWS, VMware Cloud on Azure, VMware Cloud on Google Engine. These all the products, if you want to link with a hybrid cloud, any of the public cloud, this is also supported with both editions. Okay. And SMP is nothing but a symmetric multiprocessing. This multiprocessing feature also available for both editions. And high availability, we aware it is cluster feature, and storage vMotion, fault tolerance. These features are available in both edition. But in the fault tolerance, only difference is if you have standard license, it supported fault tolerance only up to 2 vCPU. If you want to use maximum 8 CPU, we should go for a Enterprise Plus license. And vShield endpoint is nothing but a security, how the virtual vSphere is providing the security. That security is also providing in a both editions. Now we'll talk about some more additional business continuity features. So business continuity features vSphere replication. So replication also available in both edition, and 4K native storage. It's the latest one, 4K native storage, that is also available in both license features. And vSphere quick boot also can be available in both editions. And vCenter high availability. Earlier high availability feature on a cluster level, host level high availability. Within a vCenter product also, we can provide a high availability feature that is also available in both editions. And vCenter backup and restore, we can take the backup of complete vCenter appliance and restore. This feature is available in both standard and enterprise plus editions. And vCenter appliance migration, even if you want to migrate your vCenter appliance old version Windows to latest vCenter server appliance migration, this is supported in a within your both license keys, either standard key or enterprise plus key. Okay. Now we'll talk about some hybrid cloud capabilities with vSphere editions. So VMware vSphere edition comparison, hybrid cloud capabilities. Within a hybrid cloud capabilities also, both standard and enterprise have a capabilities. You can use vCenter hybrid linked mode, cross vCenter mixed version provisioning. Cross vCenter means one data center to other data center, and hot and cold migration to the cloud. Not only cold and hot migration within a on premises, even you can migrate to the cold, that cold cloud, sorry, you can also migrate it to the cloud. That options are available in both editions. Even per VM enhanced vMotion capability. Enhanced vMotion compatibility is nothing but a short form EVC mode. This per VM EVC mode also available for both standard license key and enterprise license key. Okay, there are some advanced features in the vSphere edition, which is developer ready instructions. We'll discuss in the following slide. So vSphere edition comparison, developer ready infrastructure. Developer ready means the advanced container platform and also the network virtualization. So Tanzu Kubernetes grid service, Tanzu Kubernetes grid service also available with vSphere 7 with VMware Tanzu license. Okay, this is a separate license. If you have a vSphere 7 with VMware Tanzu license, you will get all these features. So first feature is TKG, short form TKG, Tanzu Kubernetes Grid Service. This in detail I will explain in the later class. Just try to understand the terminology. Okay, so it requires a basic edition, Tanzu basic edition, and vSphere pod service. Pod also similar like a container. This pod service also available, but only thing is for vSphere pod service it requires VMware NSXT and basic edition. So NSXT also required, and storage service for to maintain the storage for all our containers and also the Kubernetes platform, it requires a license of Tanzu Basic Edition license. Tanzu also have a multiple licenses like Tanzu Basic Edition, Tanzu Advanced Edition. Okay, and network service still we are using a distributed switch only, but the license perspective we need a basic edition license minimally to use the developer ready infrastructure. Okay, there are some additional developer ready infrastructure features. This all includes a registry service, network load balancing, virtual machine service, virtual machine for GPU support. GPU means graphical processor unit, and also GPU accelerated VMware TKG cluster. To configure all this one, minimum licenses we require a Tanzu Basic Edition license. Basic Edition licenses means vSphere 7 with VMware Tanzu license. Okay, and some advanced features scenario only we need a NSXT license also. Okay, and load balancing perspective, either you can use VMware NSXT or you can use a third party load balancers also like Citrix Netscaler, or you can use FI load balancer, anything we can use. Okay, but if you want to use VMware load balancing, we need to go for a NSXT product or NSX advanced load balancer essentials. Any of one product we need to use. Okay, so at the end of the day, all of these products we need to buy a license from a official VMware website. Okay, now until now we talk about the licensing mechanism and how the licenses is license metrics works, and what is the main features in a vSphere editions license edition comparison between the standard and advanced. Now we're going to talk about the another vSphere concept, which is task console. So task console means the name itself says that a task console. So vSphere tasks are activities and actions that occur on a object within a vSphere inventory. Whatever the task we perform on vSphere level, all the task information is stored on a task console. So task represent system activities that not do not complete immediately, such as migrating a virtual machine. Even the task progression also we can see from a task console. So for example, powering off a virtual machine is a task, and we can perform this task manually every morning or every evening, and we can set up a schedule also. Even schedule task information also we can see from a task console, whether the schedule task completed or in progress. All the information we can see from a task console. Okay, normally schedule task you can set it for a daily or weekly. Okay, you can set a power of virtual machine every day or weekly. It's subjected to be customer choice. So all task information is always stored in a task console. Now let's talk about a event console. So event console means, its name itself, it says event. Events are records of user actions or system actions, either user initiated action or system automatically generated action. All are stored in a event console, and that occurs on objects in vCenter server or on a host, either on a vCenter level object or on a ESXi host level. So action that might be recorded as events include, but are not limited to, the following examples. So that examples I given, what is the most common events? A license key expire, that information you will find in a event, and a virtual machine powered on, a user login to a virtual machine, even user login information also, it's stored on a event console. And a host connection is lost, even any of the ESXi host is not responding, that information you can find from the event console. Okay, and event data includes details about the event, such as who generated it, that means it was who is generated, and when it is occurred, that means timestamp, and what type of events it is. Okay, this type of event, what type of event means, normally the type of events includes error, warning messages, information, and also the audit level events. Okay, the more information of type of events I will show you in the following slide. So vSphere type of events. So type of events includes error event, warning event, information event, and also the audit event. So error event means most of the time it is represented as a fatal error. Fatal error is like a any of the critical or serious problems will store as a error, red color message. And warning means normally a potential risk. Any of the warnings, normally the color for warning is yellow color. And information means it's a small I symbol. That I symbol, it shows as a most of the operation completed task information. Okay, and audit log also similar, like a error and warning information. It shows who did it, when it occurred, all the timestamp, and also it will provide the IP address of the user. This is nothing but a audit log. Normally these logs are needed while troubleshooting the any of the ESXi host disconnectivity issues, virtual machine power down, or vCenter accessibility issues. During that time, we'll log into the type of event console and we'll see, we'll search with the error message, we'll review all the error information, and also we'll review the warnings details. Okay, if you want to find out the root cause, when it happened, that information we will find it from a audit log. Okay, so this is about the types of events and also what is the information we'll find in a task console. Now let's talk about a other vSphere concept, which is schedule task. So normally in a task console, we'll see the task information, task status, task in progress or completed or failed, all information. But those tasks we can also schedule it. So schedule task, what is the main task we can schedule? That information we'll discuss from this slide. We can schedule tasks to run once in the future or multiple times at reoccurring interval. Suppose every month while we are applying the patches to all our virtual machine, we need to create a snapshot for your virtual machine. So it's a every month regular task. So if you have a regular task or repeated task multiple times, better to create a one scheduled task. Okay, so what are all other scheduled task is available is, even to add a host to cluster, you can prepare a scheduled task, and change the power state of virtual machine, like power on, power off, restart, reset. All these options you can set a scheduled task, and change the cluster power settings. Even if you want to change the DPM settings, we have a facility to schedule, and check the compliance of a profile, your ESXi host running with the latest patch or not. That compliance verification also we can schedule a task either weekly basis or monthly basis. and create virtual machine, clone virtual machine, deploy a virtual machine, migrate a virtual machine. All these tasks also we can schedule, and also a snapshot of a virtual machine. Most of the time in the real time, this snapshot option is scheduled every time, because the other tasks are not a frequent task. The frequent task is snapshot only. Okay, and also scan for updates also monthly schedule is recommended to do the scan for updates, and remediate also depends on your customer's choice, either monthly or quarterly basis. Okay. These all the most common available schedule task in vSphere environment. Okay, so whatever we discuss, all we can going to verify in our home lab now. Okay, so home lab will verify what where we can see the license management, task console, event console, and schedule task. So let's quickly log into our lab system. Okay, so log into our vCenter server. So when we log into our vCenter server, even in the top, you can see there are expired licenses in your inventory. Either you can click here, it will redirect you to the licensing tab, or you can just close this one, and we are currently in a vCenter homepage. So within your homepage in the top side, you can just beside the vSphere client, you can see the menu bar. You can just click on menu. You will find home, shortcuts, inventory, content library. There are multiple options. To verify your vCenter server license management console, the recommendation is you should go to the administration tab. So when you click on administration tab, within the administration tab, there are multiple options: access control, licensing, solutions, multiple options. So for licensing information, under the licensing tab, click on licenses. When you click on licenses, you will see all your licensing information. So we have a licenses. There are three tabs: licenses, products, assets. So let's talk about the first tab, licenses. When you see the licenses, there is one evaluation license is available. When I select this evaluation license, you will see the license properties information in the below. Okay, we are currently using evaluation license, and evaluation symbol also it says there is a going to expire soon. So we'll see when it is going to expire. So the summary is saying that evaluation license, yes, yes, signed is yes, there is no license key because we are using a normal free product, free evaluation license only. That is the reason there is no license key. If you want to renew, we have to add the license key using the add tab. When I click on add, it will prompt you to enter your license keys here. Okay, so when you add the license keys here, it will see the license names. If you want to put your convenience name, you can put like ESX license, vCenter license, vSAN license, Tanju license. Any specific name you can enter, and finally next finish. Okay, that is how we can add the licenses. But at present, we just see the options. We do not have any official license key now. So options, how we can add is this is the options. Okay, so I'm just canceling this tab. Okay, we know how to add the license keys. And as I discussed in our today's slide, if you go to the home page, within our licenses, we talk about it's a centralized license management for all these products: ESXi, vCenter, vSAN, supervisor cluster. See, this all the options you will find from a licensing console tab. So you have a vCenter system, we need separate license. See, one instance is running. When is the expiration date? It is going to expire by May 15th, 2022, it is going to expire because we installed recently. So it's a 60 days evaluation period. So it's going to expire in a May 15th. Okay. After May 15th, suppose in the organization scenario, if you are using evaluation period within this expiry date, we have to add a new license key. Okay. But in our test lab, whether it is expire, we have no other choice. We have to rebuild. But in the organization scenario, we have to add a new license key. Okay, so this is the vCenter server license key. And if you go to the other tab, we have a ESXi host. See, we in our lab, we have a how many ESXi hosts? 4 ESXi hosts. If I start with ESX 1, 2, 3, 4, and if you see the first one, 4 CPU, it's mentioned as up to 32 cores, and 4 CPU up to 32 cores. Up to 32 cores means only one license key is enough. Okay, this same point I highlighted in our today's session. Suppose if you see the CPU tab I mentioned here, number of CPU, one CPU, the cores is supported up to 32 cores. Okay, or 32 cores, only one CPU. Suppose if your core count is increased to more than 33, we need a two license keys. Okay, so that point we can see from here. They mentioned here usage 4 CPU. Even though you have 4 CPU, but it is only 32 cores. That means 4 CPU means we need to buy 4 CPU license keys. And one CPU means only one license key for ESXi 04. Okay. So even our ESXi host license also going to expire in May. Three licenses are May 23rd, one license is May 24th. Okay. And another tab vSAN cluster. Even vSAN cluster also we are using evaluation period. It is also going to expire by May. And the supervisor cluster, we haven't configured the Tanju. So Tanju concept I will cover in the later sessions. So that time I will show you how the Tanju is configured. Tanju one, we can also call it as supervisor cluster. Okay, and there is no supervisor cluster configured yet. And other solutions, even if you have a vRops, vRealize automation, any of the integration solutions, you will find the license keys here. Okay, so but at present we do not have a integration products at present. Maybe in our later sessions we'll observe vRops, vRLI, and vRealize automations. Okay, now this is about the first tab, licenses, and even synchronize. Suppose sometime even after expiring the license, you apply the license. For synchronization purpose, we need to run the synchronization tab. Okay. For renaming, if you want to rename this name, you can use a rename option. Remove the license, you can use rename. Remove this option. But this is a default evaluation one. That is the reason these two options are grayed out. But if you have a new license keys really entered, that time you can change your license name and you can remove and re-add it. Any options are available. Okay, that is about the first tab, licenses. Even if you want to export this detail, we have an option to export also. Okay, you can export these details also. Now let's uncheck this one. Go to the products tab. When you go to the products tab, normally you find a, if you really have a original VMware products, all those products will be listed here. At present, we are using evaluation. That's why it is showing as no items found. Now go to the assets tab. This assets information shows like a whatever we are seeing in a license tab. We have one vCenter and we have a 4 ESX. These all consider as a assets. This asset, see, you can see the name as asset. This asset information you can also see from assets tab. Even assets tab also have a multiple options. vCenter, one asset. We have one vCenter. If you have multiple vCenters, all your multiple vCenters, if you already linked with your multiple vCenter, those linked vCenter information you can see from here. vCenter server systems. And in the host tab, you will see all the ESXi host. And vSAN cluster, we have only one vSAN cluster, two vSAN cluster, one test cluster and other cluster enabled with a vSAN feature. And the supervisor we haven't configured and solutions also we haven't configured. Okay. Even in this tab also we have an option for assign license keys. So if you want to renew the evaluation, you can just select and assign. You can use assign license from a assets tab or you can assign from a license tab. Any tab you can use. Okay. So that's about the licensing management. So these 4 points only we discussed in the our slide. ESX host license separate, vCenter supplied, and vSAN license separate, and Tanju. Tanju means it's a supervisor cluster license. That is also separate. 4 separate licenses we usually used in a vSphere environment. Okay. Now let's talk about a task console. So task console is these all the features also we talk about. What is the features available in standard and enterprise? Okay. Later you can just go through all this information. And any feature we missed also we'll cover in the following sessions. Okay. And the task console, even the task console also you can see from a login to vCenter server, go to the menu option. From the menu option you can see task. Okay, so this, when you select the task option, it will show you the option for task console. This task console, whatever the task you perform on virtual machine level, data center level, VM level, even the ESX host level, ESX host level, all information you can find from here. The importance of task console is it is not only completed information. It will also show you while running the status, the progress also you can monitor task console. It's not only for current day task. Even if you click on next tab, you can find from a all the past events also. Okay. Normally VMware provide a all the task information for last 6 months data. If you want to maintain your old data, we should go for a syslog server. Okay, the data or the old logs information also we are seeing. And even if you want to increase the items per page, we can just select here. Seems to be showing maximum is 100 events per page. If you want to export also, we can export to the Excel file. Okay. Normally, if you want to analyze any of the troubleshooting scenario, we can export all the events information like this. Okay. When you export, you can see the timestamp, when we started, when we completed, all information we can find. Okay. This is how we can export the our task information. Let me close this sheet. Okay. And the same scenario for event console also. Event console also same. Select the vSphere client, click on events tab. You will see the event console. So this event console also, it will provide the events on all the targets layers, ESXi host layer, cluster layer, vCenter layer. You can monitor centrally from event console tab, or another method is go to the home. When you go to the home, or you can go to the inventory. When you go to the inventory also, we have a task and events tab. For example, data center, go to the monitor tab. You can see task and events here. But this task only maintained for a data center level tasks. Suppose if I want to see a specific VM task, select the virtual machine. Suppose our vSphere VMware IDM, Identity Manager VM. Go to the monitor tab, task. Okay, you can. This task is only dedicated for this VM task. It's not for a all centralized. For centralized information only, we have to go to the vSphere client task console. Okay, so this is the task console for centralized information. And the same way for event also, this is the centralized information for event console. And event console normally it will provide a three type of events. You will find the information, warning, and also there is a some error messages also. If you have any error messages, it will show you the color as a red color. Red color is the error message. The same point we'll talk in a event console. So within our event console tab, we talk about error, warning, and also the information. Okay. So now again log into the our vCenter server. These events you can centrally use from a event console tab, or you can see from a specific VM level also. When you select event, you will find a events information specifically to the VM. Even if you select the ESXi host, go to the monitor tab, tasks tab, you will find specific ESXi host task information. Similarly, event information. Okay. Even if you want to see this ESXi host hardware status, there is a tab for hardware health tab. Okay. Hardware health, it will show you all the sensors, storage sensors, alerts and warnings, system event log, all information you will find. At present, no events found means our hardware is in a healthy state. Okay. Now, let's talk about a scheduled task. If you want to schedule task information, select your data center. Under data center, go to the configure tab, or let me look for a cluster level. If I select the cluster level, go to the configure tab. Under configure, there is a tab for schedule task. Okay. When you see the schedule task, you can see new schedule task. If you expand here, you can schedule a task on a edit DRS, add host, or new virtual machine. Even when you click new virtual machine, these all the tasks will be scheduled. Okay. And same way for add the ESXi host also, you can schedule. When you want to going to add your ESXi host, that frequency can be one time additional ESXi host normally, and after vCenter startup or hourly, weekly, anytime you can set your frequency. But normally add ESXi host is no only for a one time task. Okay. Suppose your customer is approved to add your ESXi host only on a weekend. Sunday they given a schedule. Instead of log into the vCenter on Sunday, even in the weekday itself, you can schedule the task. And automatically during the Sunday time, whatever the time you put here, let's say once you can set your time here based on your schedule time, the task will performed automatically. Okay, that is importance of a scheduled task. Even for virtual machine level also, suppose if you want to create a virtual machine, also you can set even specific VM. For example, this VM I want to restart. Go to the configuration tab, schedule task. Within a scheduled task, you can set any of the options. So I want to power on this VM. You can schedule. Shut down this VM. You can schedule. Power off. Power on. Reset. Any even that take snapshot. Normally, most of the time we'll use scheduled task mainly for a snapshot, and remaining tasks are very rare cases we'll use. Okay, suppose take snapshot, you can use any of the task name and frequency you can set. Normally we'll take a snapshot for monthly basis, so before patching time. So that time whatever the patching schedule your customer is approved, depends on the schedule time, you can set the time, what time you want to take the snapshot, either AM or PM, depends on the customer approval schedule. Okay, so this is about the scheduled task. Scheduled task also you can apply on a cluster level specific to the ESXi host, VM and cluster settings, or you can apply on a specific VM level schedules also you can do. These all consider as a virtual machine life cycle daily operation, day to day operations. Okay, this is about the scheduled tasks. So let's back to our lab. So we'll verify the licensing management, and we'll verify the task console and also the event console and schedule task. So this is the day's concepts. If you have any questions, let me know. And in the meantime, let me open our master sheet. See, if you see here in our previous session, we covered about the storage DRS, how to create a data store cluster and enabling storage DRS feature. This topic we covered. Let's make it as green. And today's session will focus on mainly 4 features, which includes schedule task, task console, event console, and license management. Okay, so I'm going to make this as we are familiar with the where we can find the task console, event console, and also the licensing mechanism, and also the schedule tasks. Between vSphere standard license and also the enterprise plus license. One thumb rule is all features available in a enterprise plus only. Okay, but standard license have some limited features only. Some advanced features like host profile, any of the main key features are not available in a standard license. Okay, and the workload management is like a same like Tanju vSphere with the Tanju. This concept will talk about in later sessions. Okay, so later session mostly either content library resource, or I may start with a workload management latest concept. Okay, so that's it for today. Hope you are practicing all the concepts. We are almost closing soon. We are ending the all the features. Okay, once all the features completed, we'll focus on advanced features like NSXT, vRealize automation, and Tanju. Let me know if you have any questions. If no questions, we can end the session here. Thanks for your time. Yeah, thank you. Bye for now.